And on page 699 today, we are going to talk about circumference. And circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. The ratio, capital letter C is circumference divided by diameter, is equal to the irrational number called pi. And the symbol for pi is it's 2 above and 1 to the left of the 7 on your calculator. And it's in parentheses right here. Yes. We're going to cover that here in just a second. All right. So right now, I just want you to understand that the circumference of any circle divided by its diameter is always equal to pi. Okay. And, pi has a lot of decimal places. Since pi is an irrational number, it's a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. So it goes on forever. And when we do a couple of example problems, we're going to talk about how to list your answers in terms of pi and then round to the nearest hundredth. So one of the formulas, or the formula for circumference, is if a circle has a diameter lowercase d or lowercase r radius, which all circles do, the circumference is equal to, there are two formulas for circumference. One of them is that the circumference of a circle is equal to pi times the diameter. Or you can find the circumference of a circle by multiplying 2 times pi times the radius. Both of those work. Pi times diameter or 2 times pi times r. And we're going to say this: when finding circumference, not leave, we're going to say when finding circumference, list two answers. One in terms of pi, and the other rounded to the nearest hundredth, using the pi button. All right, so let's take a look now at the real world example for find circumference. Find the circumference of the helipad described at the left. In 2005, Roger Federer and Andre Agassi played tennis on the helipad of an Arab hotel in the United Arab Emirates. The helipad has a diameter of 79 feet and is nearly 700 feet high. Find the circumference of the helipad. So look, if circumference equals pi times the diameter, well, they're telling you that the helipad has a diameter of 79 feet. So look, we list our circumference two ways. Circumference equals 79 pi. That's in terms of pi. Your answer is in terms of pi when the pi symbol is in your answer. And then in the calculator, now we're rounding everything to the nearest hundredth, okay? So in your calculator, now we go to second fix 2. That gives us 2 decimal places. You take 79 times, and you push the pi button and hit equals. And we get 248.19. Now, circumference is a distance, so this would be 248.19 feet. Diameter times pi. Number 4A there, on the bottom of that page. Find the circumference of each circle rounded to the nearest hundredth. They're telling you there that the radius is 2.5. So example 4A, we're going to go circumference equals 2 times pi times that radius, which is 2.5. So in terms of pi, our circumference is equal to, you take the 2 times the 2.5, which is 5 pi. There's your answer in terms of pi. Now in the calculator, you take 5 times pi button and hit equals. You should get 15.71. Example 4B right next to it. They're telling you the diameter is 16 feet. Well, if the diameter is 16 feet, we're going to use circumference equals pi times the diameter, which is 16. So our circumference equals 16 pi, which is approximately equal to 16 times pi button and equals 50.27. All right, so turn the page and look at the top of page 700. Find the diameter and radius. All right, so what we're going to do here for a second is we're going to go back to this circumference formula. If circumference equals pi times the diameter, or you can use circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius, then look, if you're given the circumference and asked to find the diameter, okay, circumference divided by pi equals the diameter. Okay, all we did was take the circumference formula and we solved for d. Divided both sides by pi, and diameter of a circle equals circumference divided by pi. Now, if we do the same thing over here on the right, if circumference equals 2 times pi times r, and we want to solve for the radius, well, then we would divide both sides by 2 pi. So the circumference divided by 2 pi equals the radius. So in example 5, find the diameter and radius of a circle to the nearest hundredth if the circumference of the circle equals 106.4. Circumference equals 106.4, and we need the diameter and the radius. So we take 106.4, set it equal to pi times the diameter. Now, to solve for the diameter, we divide both sides by pi. On the right-hand side, the pi's are going to cancel. And in your calculator, take 106.4 divided by, use the pi button, and hit equals. And I get 33.87 equals the diameter. Now, didn't we say yesterday that the radius is half the diameter? Radius is half the diameter. Diameter divided by 2 equals radius. So if we need the radius now, this number is still sitting on my calculator screen. I push divided by 2 and hit equals. So 16.93 equals the radius. There's your diameter and radius given the circumference. We okay with that? All right. All right, and finally, we're going to look at shapes inscribed in an angle. And we're going to say that a polygon is inscribed in a circle if all vertices lie on the circle. So look, we're going to find the circumference of the circle. We're going to find the circumference of each of these circles. And we're going to put a circle right here. We're going to put a point in the center of it. And then now we're going to put in a diameter, a vertical leg, and a horizontal leg. We're going to make this a right triangle. And we're going to say that this side is 12 and this side is 6. So does everybody see this blue line right here? Isn't it the hypotenuse of a right triangle? And isn't it also the diameter of this circle? And if circumference equals pi times diameter, well, then we got to find that hypotenuse. And can't you find the hypotenuse of a right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem? So if we call this side the diameter, wouldn't 6 squared plus 12 squared equal the diameter squared? And now we can do that in our calculator. All right. 6x squared plus 12x squared equals, so I get 180 equals d squared. And if I find the square root of both sides, I get 13.42 as the diameter. Well, if I go back to this circumference problem, my circumference equals 13.42 pi, which is equal to, the 13.442 is still sitting on my screen. So if I push times pi button and hit equals, I get 42.15. So there's the circumference of the circle in terms of pi and as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. You guys all right with that? Questions? Let's take a look at a rectangle inside of a circle. With one side as 11 and another side is 6. Circumference equals pi times diameter, but this diameter isn't in the picture, is it? So can't we take it and connect these? If we connect these two vertices of a rectangle, we form a right triangle, and the hypotenuse of this right triangle goes through the center. So don't we have another triangle problem? All right. So here we go. If circumference equals pi times diameter, we're going to call this hypotenuse the diameter. So 6 squared plus 11 squared equals d squared. $157 equals the diameter squared. Find the square root of both sides. 12.53 equals the diameter. So back up to our circumference formula. the circumference equals 12.53 pi. Again, this number right here, this 1253, is still sitting on my calculator. So if I just push times pi button equals, circumference of this circle is 39.36. Again, here it is in terms of pi. And here it is rounded to the nearest hundredth. Any questions? All right, then your practice for today. Start on page 701. Five through 9. And then over on the next page, 24 through 28. And then 30. 31 and 33.
But I got the answer, but I just didn't get the